Let's get some instant analysis in studio here with Tim Doyle and our Coach of the Year, Avery Johnson. Tim, look, I just want to read this off. You picked UConn on the money line. UConn team total over 72.5. Adama Sanogo over 16.5 points. These are the kind of games that come around once in a generation, and this was domination from start to finish for the UConn Huskies.
We saw an amazing performance from Kansas State, and their story has been great. But who has played the best, Coach, throughout the first 3 games of the NCAA tournament? It's not even close. It's UConn. Go look at their offensive numbers. 50% in all 3 games combined. Over 40% from 3. This game, they didn't make double-digit threes. They did in the previous 2 games. They made 9. Shot 45% from 3. They have balance. And now that Jordan Hawkins has finally found his game, he's got his groove back. He had struggled the last 3 games. 24 big points. They have size. They could defend. Let's not forget, they were number 1 in the country at one point. But, Coach, as you know, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. And right now, I don't want to play UConn.
Yeah, and even though Jordan Hawkins struggled a little bit in his last couple of games, remember, this is the same guy in the Big East tournament quarterfinals. He had, 30 against Marquette, 33 against really good Providence teams, two teams that were in the NCAA tournament. So we know how good Jordan Hawkins is. But I was really impressed with Connecticut's defense. And Arkansas had something to do with it. They really weren't that aggressive to score, especially from outside. The byproduct of that, they were 5 for 16 from the 3-point line. They looked like they just didn't have one shooter on their team. Where's somebody that can shoot the ball? If you can't shoot the 3 or attempt threes, if you have bad misses and air balls, the floor is going to continue to shrink. Connecticut's man-to-man defense will shrink more like a zone defense, and that didn't bode well for the Arkansas Razorbacks. But give Connecticut credit. This is the team that I have advancing not only in the next game, but this is the team that I believe is going to be competing for a national championship in the Final Four in Houston. So give them credit, but Arkansas, they picked the wrong team to have one of their worst performances of the year.
Avery, you know that UConn started the season 14-0. Is this that UConn team, the 14-0 UConn team that's firing on all cylinders? Because it was like a roller coaster ride, right? They were up here, they went down, then they came back up because they play in a tough conference in the Big East. What is your evaluation of this team? And I know you just said it right there in terms of your pick to win the national championship, or at least get to the Final Four. Is this that team that we saw at the beginning of the season?
I think they're even better. They're even better than that 14-0 team. And they beat some really outstanding teams early in the season, including a team like Alabama, who was the #1 overall seed. They're really balanced, well coached. They can shoot it. They can defend. Their big guys can switch on pick and rolls. Their big guys are threats. Sanogo around the basket. They have depth. Arkansas didn't have a bench player to make a 3-point shot. Connecticut, their bench players made, 3 threes coming off the bench. That's a big plus. They have quality, depth, experience. I really am buying Connecticut, the Connecticut Huskies.
What happened to Arkansas in this game, Tim? Because we saw them, the emotional win over Kansas. We know they got 2 lottery picks in Nick Smith Jr. and Anthony Black got 20 in this game. What happened to this team? Because if a team was going to knock off UConn, it would have been this team. Because, again, they finished the season losing 4 of their last 5. But then they turn a switch here, at least in the first couple games, especially against Kansas, because they were down, remember, the first half against Kansas.
I wasn't high on Kansas.
I know you weren't. Oh, I know. But they flipped the switch in the second half, so we thought maybe Arkansas would do that here in this game, and no shot.
They had 9 rebounds. I mean, in the first half, 9. Ferris Bueller missed school 9 times, okay?
9.
And that's like you got to have more rebounds than that. Points in the paint, they were dominated. So you just saw the size. And let's mention how great Sanogo has been in this tournament. Just a machine as far as consistency, production. He had 28-13 against Iona. Next game, he followed up with 24-8. And then today, another stellar performance, efficient. They dominated on the glass. They obviously doubled up nearly Arkansas points in the paint. This game was never, I repeat, never competitive. So this was just size, athleticism, strength. Like, You know, when you're like, oh, we're just overmatched? Arkansas was clearly overmatched. And then once UConn, over the last 3 games, starts making shots, because they have a base. They have something a lot of teams don't have. They have a guy that can throw the ball to down low, and he can score. It's a rarity at any level now that you still have an old school big guy that you can throw the ball to. So that is the foundation of their team. And once they start playing inside out, once they start making 9, 10, 11 threes a game, forget about going to the Final Four. This is going to be a nearly impossible team to beat if they can keep up this shooting from the perimeter.
So do you think it matters who they play in the Elite Eight, UCLA or Gonzaga? Is there a matchup that would be a bigger problem for them?
I just think UCLA experience, like, but missing some size down low. Right now, I do think that the way they're playing, and I have UCLA coming out of this bracket, so I'm not ready just to jump ship yet. But who's the best team in that region? I don't think it's close. It's UConn.
Yeah. Avery, do you agree? Is it look? You prepared for these games. You win a game and you move on, and now you're Danny Hurley, and obviously you're going to watch this game in Las Vegas. You're going to have a chance to scout and sit there in the stands at T-Mobile Arena, where I wish there would have been some more fans. I mean, they probably been more fans if you were calling the game, Avery. But what are you thinking right now in terms of the matchup? Is it UCLA, Gonzaga, they pose different problems for both. UCLA can run up and down. Gonzaga is the highest scoring team in the nation.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga would be a problem, more of a problem for Connecticut. I called 2 of their games out in Denver. They're very impressive. They knocked off TCU. I was on the call for that game. And Drew Timme, he's a problem. And I know, from a size standpoint, Connecticut has a little bit more size inside. But this guy he's got some incredible footwork. He's very dynamic. He passes out of double teams. Strawder, their shooter, 6'6" shooter on the wing. He's very impressive. They have a solid 8-man rotation. They're the most efficient offensive team, leading scoring team in the nation. They can score points. Now, defensively, they're not nearly as good. But again, I think Gonzaga, UCLA lost their best defender.
Yep.
Gonzaga top to bottom. Obviously, they're a well-coached team. They've been to the Final Four 2 times. I think there would be more of a problem for Connecticut, but I would still have Connecticut winning in a close game.
You know what Danny Hurley wants?
Tell me.
A war. He wants a great game. We want a great game between UCLA and Gonzaga. Because you know what his team was doing? They were straight chilling in the second half because this game wasn't even close. So they want a war that I think we all expect, and we came to watch together, all 3 of us, 2 years ago when Suggs made the bank shot, one of the greatest games in college basketball history. So UConn, if they can keep up what they're doing right now, I know it's a 3-game sample size, neither one of these teams have beaten them.
All right. Well, I'm excited for this next game. Like I said, this West region could have been our Final Four. And I'm kind of glad that it's not because, Kansas State's been a fun team to watch throughout this tournament. UConn, the way they started the season, because you could have made the argument. Look, I know they're a 3 seed, but they were playing like a 1 seed early on in the season. And then people kind of, they lost 5 or 6. I don't know. This is a good basketball team.
Creighton the same way. Creighton was top 10 team, and now they're playing well. So it's all about the right time and who's kind of hitting their stride. 23-point
win for UConn, moving on to the Elite Eight. They play the winner of UCLA and Gonzaga, and they keep on rolling. 6 is their win streak in the Sweet 16. And again, we mentioned it. The last 2 times they advanced to the Sweet 16, they won the national championship. 2011, 2014, they are back into the Elite Eight.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.